work you do is just unbelievable. And I believe that we all owe her a lot of support in addition to the thanks that we already give her. A few people also indicated, and this was just a couple people, indicated to us that they had come to one meeting at some point, or they had heard about the group, and they characterized it as cliquish. Like there's a core group of people who are always involved, and they came to the meeting and didn't actually meet anyone, and it was just the same people kind of thing. And they didn't really feel welcome. They didn't feel like they were brought in to be part of the group. And one thing a lot of people suggested would be everybody introducing themselves at the beginning of the meeting. Say your name, say where you live, so that we actually get to know each other more than you might have known somebody because you've lived here a long time. But for new folks, it's intimidating coming in and not knowing anyone. I'm not going to read through everything on here because it's long, but I am going to circulate this on Facebook and our email list once it's in less of a draft form, so you can read through it all there. About half of the people that we surveyed door to door had never heard of B2 Watchers, which we see as a problem because it wasn't that they were new to the neighborhood for the most part. They had lived here for a long time, longer than B2 Watchers has been around. So what are we not doing right in reaching people? Because these were people who were like, oh, we have a neighborhood watch. That's a great idea. I'd love to be a part of it. I know nothing about it. So some people don't have access to a computer on a regular basis. So they don't use Facebook. They don't use email. So becoming more systematic in flyering. I also think we call it, in research, you call it like snowball sampling, where you talk to one person, and then they talk to somebody, and then that person talks to somebody, and then eventually, like a game of telephone, it just kind of like rolls up like a big snowball going down the hill and gets bigger and bigger. So, if like everybody brought somebody to the next meeting, we would double in size, right? So those types of techniques, in addition to just more publicity through JTV, through the salesman, things like that. And we had people offering, because we didn't collect identifying data, I don't know who these people are, so we'd have to just send out an call, but people offering to help with publicity through contacts that they have. And, we really should be taking advantage and really using all of our individual skills and capabilities, the best we can, because we're all good at different things. We all know different people, and we should be using those resources, that human capital that we have here in this neighborhood. People suggested having a B2 Watchers suggestion box available. I don't know where we would put that. Maybe here, maybe it would just come to meetings, maybe it could be a virtual suggestion box. We can, like I said, I don't have all the answers. These are just, I'm just reporting. But people wanted to be able to comment things without necessarily having to come to a meeting and say it in front of everyone, especially if they have a critique or if they see something that they would like to change. People liked the idea of having more neighborhood events, like National Night Out, but on a smaller scale. Obviously, Carrie, we're going to need you to plan 6 National Night Outs a year. But just it can be more informal. It could be a potluck here at the park where people just show up and hang out. Because people really did express a desire to get to know other people in the neighborhood, which is important, right? How do you know if somebody doesn't belong in the neighborhood or is doing something suspicious if you don't even know who your neighbors are? And then another thing, which had not ever occurred to me because I live like half a block away, but people said it would be really helpful. They would like to come to meetings, but they don't have any way of getting here. Either they no longer drive or don't have access to private transportation or have some type of mobility issue or are afraid to be out by themselves after dark. So people who could maybe offer rides to people in the neighborhoods who want to come to events but don't have the means themselves. So the second big theme, that was the biggest one. So the second big theme was working to make Loomis and other parks in our neighborhood safe and welcoming places. People were really sad and angry about the state of our parks and about having such nice parks. This is a beautiful park, but then being afraid to use it or feeling like they can't use it safely. So enforcing open and close times, increasing the positive presence of neighbors, and just making ourselves visible, and increasing police patrols were three things that people really wanted. The third theme is to support and form alliances with neighborhood businesses and churches. So businesses, churches, they're part of our neighborhood too, right? This is a mixed-use space. We have stores, we have restaurants, we have churches. So forming partnerships with them and holding them accountable to our neighborhood as well. Making the actual meetings here more productive. So again, having people introduce themselves so we feel like we're building a sense of community and not just kind of popping in and popping out. Someone suggested arranging for speakers or short presentations on important topics like scams or emergency preparedness, things like that. A few people expressed disappointment in that sometimes our meetings felt kind of basic and repetitive. Like the information was kind of common sense or the same thing over and over, like if you leave, lock your doors, like, yeah, we got that. And it's good to think about those kinds of things, but people wanted to take it further than that and go deeper on issues. Again, people were interested in forming committees, and those, like, on topic issues, like, so a Loomis Park committee, and then they could present what they've been doing since the last meeting at the meeting. And then again, distributing power and responsibility within the group and making the most of our community resources and human capital. So localizing the activity more. So like now I go back and I report to the people, to my neighbors who couldn't be here tonight for whatever reason. The fifth major theme that came out was that folks want to identify priority goals for the group and desired outcomes, and then actually organize to achieve them. So a lot of people said, like, yes, what we do is good, what we do is important, but I don't want to just like sit around and wait for my house to get robbed and then respond to it. I want to do proactive things that will work towards preventing the problems rather than just responding to them. So focusing on issues on a little bit larger and less individual level. We saw something that was really interesting that we saw is a lot of people commented about how they wanted things that other folks in the neighborhood didn't seem to care about, but everybody we talked to seemed to really care about the same things. We got a pretty diverse sampling of different groups of people in the neighborhood, different races and ethnicities, men and women, older folks and younger folks.